I never imagined one single night could tear apart everything I believed was solid. My name is Chloe Bennett. I'm 25. And up until recently I was engaged to Noah Reed. Noah wasn't flawless, but he was reliable, gentle, and I truly loved him. Or at least I thought I did. He had this way of making the chaos of the outside world feel irrelevant. For a long time that felt like plenty. The party was just a regular weekend hangout with friends. Noah was stuck at some work thing, so I showed up by myself, figuring it'd be nice to catch up with everybody. I've never been the wild type. I liked my routines, my safe little life where everything had a plan. But that night my friends dared me to do something I'd never done before. And I went for it. It started as pure silliness. Someone leaned in and teased, "Chloe, there's no way you'd ever kiss Mason Hayes, right?" Everyone knew Mason. Hilarious, magnetic, almost unfairly handsome. He'd been Noah's best friend since their college days. Always lingering on the sidelines of our story. That perfect-looking shadow in the background of our photos. I laughed it off, rolled my eyes and said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I honestly thought I could handle a dumb dare. It was supposed to be quick, meaningless, just a joke for laughs. But the second I leaned in, his lips brushed mine and something inside me sparked. Not love, not some fairy tale feeling, just this raw, stupid rush I hadn't felt in forever. Our lips moved. The room was swirling with music, shouts, and flashing lights. Right after, I pulled back and told him, "That was just the dare, nothing serious." I should have left it there. But I didn't. Maybe it was the buzz. Maybe it was a tiny rebellion against the perfect fiancé box I'd been living in. I felt electric, even while a quiet voice in my head yelled that this was a terrible idea. The next morning I texted Noah like everything was normal, grinning at my phone. He sent back a heart emoji. Life felt untouched. But that feeling didn't last long. By the end of the week, Noah was different. His texts lost their warmth. His laugh on the phone sounded forced. Then came the night he showed up at my place unannounced. His eyes were hard to read, but the hurt pouring off him was impossible to miss. "Chloe," he said, calm but firm, "we need to talk." My stomach dropped. "About what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady even though panic was clawing up my throat. "You know exactly what." And just like that, I knew he knew about Mason, about the kiss. I opened my mouth to explain it away, to say it was only a dare, nothing real. But the look in his eyes stopped me cold. The betrayal was written all over his face. Words tumbled out anyway. "It was literally just a dare, Noah. It didn't mean anything." He raised a hand. "I know it was a dare. That's the whole problem." I blinked, confused. "What?" He took a slow breath, jaw tight. "The problem is you didn't stop it. You could have laughed and walked away, but you went through with it. Even after the dare was technically over, you let it happen. That's not an accident, Chloe. That's a decision." His words hit harder than any shouting match ever could have. I played this scene in my head 1,000 times. Excuses ready, begging for forgiveness. But hearing him say it so quietly, so matter-of-fact, wrecked me. "I don't get it," I whispered. "I love you. It wasn't like that." He shook his head. "Love doesn't cancel out what you do, Chloe. Doesn't make it okay. I can't trust you now, not with my heart, not with us." And that was it. The future I'd pictured, the ring I'd been so excited to wear, the life I thought was locked in, it all vanished. He didn't scream. He didn't break down. He just turned, walked out, and left me staring at my own reflection in the dark window, wondering how a couple seconds of stupidity had burned everything down. The silence afterward was crushing. I felt empty, like someone had carved out a piece of me I didn't even know was there. That's when real regret finally sank in. The next few days blurred together. Noah went radio silent. My phone felt like a brick, heavy with notifications that meant nothing, while the one person I needed stayed quiet. I even tried calling Mason, desperate for him to say it was no big deal. He dodged every call. It felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me, leaving just the echo of choices I couldn't undo. I replayed that night on loop. Every giggle, every whispered dare, every reckless smirk. How could something so small carry so much damage? How did one moment end my engagement? My best friend and roommate Sophie noticed something was off by the weekend. She cornered me in the kitchen, arms folded, no nonsense. "Chloe, you have to own this. Being sorry isn't going to magically bring Noah back. You crossed a line." Tears stung my eyes. I know, I mumbled. I didn't think it would matter. I thought it was harmless. Sophie shook her head. Kissing your fiancé's best friend isn't harmless. That's a choice, not a slip-up. Her bluntness sliced through the fog. Forgiveness wasn't something I could demand. Love wasn't a free pass for reckless behavior. My actions had consequences, real ones. A week later, Noah sent one final text. I can't do this anymore. I hope someday you get it. Short. Final. No anger, no begging. Just quiet closure wrapped in pain. I stared at those words until my eyes burned. Part of me hated how calmly he ended things. Another part respected him more than ever for having the strength to walk away when love alone couldn't hold us together. I tried Mason one last time. He blocked me. That chapter vanished overnight, leaving only the sting of my own betrayal to myself. The truth settled in. It wasn't Mason or even Noah's reaction that broke us. It was me, my own careless decision. Those next nights were endless. I'd lie in the apartment Noah once talked about sharing with me, staring at walls that suddenly felt too big and too quiet. I wished a million times I could rewind and pull back the second I leaned in. But wishes don't fix anything. Owning it does. I started journaling every thought, every wave of guilt, every memory of what I'd thrown away. I didn't want to erase Noah completely, but I needed to remember him as the lesson that love can't patch over carelessness. I had to learn to forgive myself and grow past the girl who chased a cheap thrill. A month later, I ran into Mason at a coffee shop. He looked at me for a second, face blank, and said, "Hope you learned something." Then he nodded and walked away. And for the first time I really had. Not just about him or Noah, but about me. No dare, no excuse, no momentary high is worth more than trust, loyalty, or love built on respect. That truth hurt worse than the breakup itself. From that day forward, I promised myself I'd never let a reckless second define me again. I poured everything into my job, my real friendships, and most of all, becoming someone I could respect. I couldn't undo what I did or force Noah or Mason to forgive me, but I could rebuild myself piece by piece. And slowly, painfully, I did. Looking back, that night gave me brutal clarity. Love is fragile. Trust is everything. Every choice carries weight. Yeah, I messed up big time, but I survived it. And in surviving, I finally understood responsibility, consequences, and what real self-respect feels like. Sometimes the toughest lessons hide inside our dumbest mistakes. That night I lost the love I thought would last forever. But losing it showed me the person I actually needed to become. One who would never let a fleeting rush wreck her world again.